Salvador Allende of Chile was elected in September 1970 by the people of Chile. Allende did not take power through a revolution. Allende did not form a militia. Allende did not grab any land or property. Allende had no political detainees. Allende did not crush the press. He did not close down the parliament. He did not suspend the constitution. He played by every rule they wrote, but they killed him still. These people understand very well that a revolution means a new situation. Revolution means that the abuses and excesses of the violent, reactionary, and disruptive minority has to be crushed so that the majority interest can prevail. When the Americans had their revolution in 1776, it took them 13 years to call their election. They talk about detainees, but when the American Revolution came in 1776, 600,000 people were detained in this country. 100,000 Americans in the first week of the American Revolution. 100,000 fled to Canada. Thousands were locked up without charge or trial. Hundreds were shot. And the counter-revolutionaries after the American Revolution, they had no right to vote. They had no right to teach. They had no right to preach. They had no right to a job. Their land was confiscated without payment. So when the falsifiers of history try to pretend that the American Revolution was a Boston Tea Party, was a very bloody Tea Party. That's something that very often happens in all revolutions, the spontaneous upheaval of the masses. Did not really happen in Grenada. A church-based organization in Washington called Epica wrote a book last year on Grenada. They called it Grenada, the Peaceful Revolution. We can understand why. So when these elements come and make these statements, we understand only too well where they are coming from. They understand that in Grenada, no one is ever interfered with for what he says. No one is ever interfered with for what he writes. In fact, today, criticism is deeper than ever in the society in a constructive way. But our people also understand that the first law of the revolution is that the revolution must survive, must consolidate, so more benefits can come to them. And because of this fact, the revolution has laid down as a law that nobody, regardless of who you are, will be allowed to be involved in any activity surrounding the overthrow of the government by the use of armed violence. And anyone who moves in that direction will be ruthlessly crushed. But But we also feel, sisters and brothers, that the time has in fact come for us to make another step along the way towards institutionalizing the process that we have been building for 4 years. And that is why only yesterday in Grenada, the new chairman of the Constitutional Commission arrived in our capital city, St. George's, from Trinidad and Tobago to announce the formation of the Constitutional Commission that has now undertaken the task of drafting a new constitution for our young revolution. This constitution is not really going to look like the one that the Queen gave us in 1974. This time around, this constitution is going to come out of the bowels of our people and out of our earth. Our people will have their inputs and will decide what they want to see go into that constitution. Our new constitution also is certainly going to institutionalize and entrench the systems of popular democracy which we have been building over these past 4 years in our country. Because to us, democracy is much, much more than just an election. To us, democracy is a great deal more than just the right to put an X next to Tweedledum name or Tweedledee name every 5 years. But democracy also means, and to us it has 5 integrated components. First, accountability. People have to account to those who elect them. The second principle of democracy to us, responsibility. We don't believe in Grenada in presidents for life or elected people for life. We believe in service for life. And when you stop serving, you must be recalled and get out of the way for somebody else to serve. The third principle. To us, the third principle of democracy is participatory mechanisms, popular participation. If we are serious about democracy, and here I will accept the definition, the well-known definition of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln said of democracy that it is government of, for, and by the people. I accept that. It's a good definition. But if it is government of, for, and by the people, then it cannot be just government of the people you elect. It also has to be for them, and it also has to be by them. They have to have a way of participating. That is what the word by means. And if that is absent, you don't really have the democracy. We believe that it is very important for the people to have a voice in running their affairs. The ways in which we have approached this question over these years is basically twofold. One, the creation of mass organizations of our people. The National Women's Organization, the National Youth Organization, the Farmers Union, and of course, the labor unions, the trade unions. Not only were the women of our country without work before the revolution, the women of our country were also the most harassed and victimized of any section of our population. Those few who were granted jobs from time to time, many of them were given those jobs only on the basis of a sexual favor. So women were being sexually exploited in return for jobs. The very first decree of the revolution was to outlaw sexual victimization and exploitation of our women in return for jobs. And going on from that, sisters and brothers, The revolution then passed a law applying to all workers in the public sector of equal pay for equal work for all of the women in the public sector in our country. We also then passed another law, more recently, a maternity leave law. And by this maternity leave law, every woman who is pregnant must be granted 3 months maternity leave, 2 months with full pay, 1 could be without full pay, and a guarantee of return to employment after the pregnancy. And it is because of these laws and because of the new environment in the country that so many women have begun to step forward, have begun to assert themselves, have begun to go out and find new jobs, have begun to get fully involved in production. And that is why too, so many of them have joined their mass organization, so that today, at this point in time, 1 in every 3 adult women over the age of 16 years is a member of the National Women's Organization. So within our mass organizations, the principle of electability is already entrenched. And for our people in general, there have been some organs of popular democracy that have been built. Zonal councils, parish councils, worker parish councils, farmer councils, where the people come together from month to month, and the usual agenda would be a report on programs taking place in the village. Then there would be a report usually by some senior member of the bureaucracy. It might be the manager of the Central Water Commission, or it might be the manager of the telephone company or the electricity company. And this senior bureaucrat has to go there and report to the people on his area of work, and then be submitted to a question and answer session. So this concept of democracy and our approach to human rights is one that has stressed the solving of these problems and the involvement of our people in a participatory way from day to day and week to week. They have also raised over and over again the question of our relations with Cuba as a second one of these red herrings they throw. We say, first of all, that yes, we have warm fraternal relations with the government and people of Cuba. That is true. We see Cuba as part of our Caribbean family of nations. One of the greatest curses of colonialism was that they divided the region according to different metropolitan centers. They taught us different languages, and then they made a great play of the fact that you are Dutch speaking, you are Spanish speaking, you are French speaking, you are English speaking, and more recently, you are American speaking. And based on this linguistic nonsense, they taught us to hate each other. But the fact of the matter is that they come down, they tell us if you're speaking Dutch, you're the best. If it's English, you're the best. French is the best. Spanish is the best. American is the best. And all of us hating each other. When in fact we are one people from one Caribbean with one struggle and one destiny. We see it therefore as one of our historic duties and responsibilities to pull down these artificial barriers of colonialism and to develop that oneness and that unity that we nearly lost. We believe it is critically necessary to have close relations with all of our neighbors. But there is also a third reason that we will always have relations, warm, fraternal, close relations with the people and government of Cuba. And that is our admiration and our respect for the internationalism and the achievements of the Cuban people. Whether they like it or not, Cuban internationalist soldiers have been the first in the world to charge the racist South African monster and to place them with arms in their hand while defending Angola. If there were no Cuban internationalist troops in Angola, how long ago would a South African apartheid monster have overrun Angola with the assistance of several Western powers? They can choose their South African and their Haitian and Chilean and South Korean and every piece of dictator friends they wish. That is okay. But we can't choose our friends because we're too small and poor to have the rights to choose. They like to talk a lot about backyard and front yard and lake. They neither in nobody backyard and in front of nobody lake. The more desperate that imperialism gets, the more it comes up with the most vulgar and hostile measures to try to keep the poor, oppressed people of the world who are trying to win their national liberation and to build their own future down. Think of Nicaragua. Nicaragua, a country invaded over the years 2-3 times in this century by the United States. Nicaragua, a country that has been under the brutal heel of the Somozas for over 45 years. Nicaragua, a country that, just like the Americans 200 years ago, finally resorted to their supreme right to overthrow their repressors and murderers and to take their destiny into their own hands. And when the people of Nicaragua, when the sons and daughters of Sandino assumed their liberation, when they won in July of '79, what was the crime that they committed thereafter? Their crime was to be bold and mannish and fresh enough to say that their resources belong to them, to say that they want to build their country in their own way, to say that they want to choose their own friends, to say that they are going to build their country after their own image and likeness and not after the image and likeness of somebody else. And because of that, you have this situation where today, in the most vulgar, shameless act of the last year or so, can only pale into comparison when you put it against what is happening in El Salvador, or when you place it against what happened in the middle of last year in Lebanon, when the Palestinian people were slaughtered. The most vulgar, shameless act of open CIA activity in their country. The most open, vulgar, shameless act of even admitting that not only will they resort to covert actions, but if necessary, they will publicly back overt action against the Nicaraguans. The shamelessness of it is really extraordinary. And perhaps the only good thing that has come out of this recent episode, sisters and brothers, is the fact that for the first time in a long time, the people of Latin America themselves have tried to find a solution to the problem. That has been the historic meaning of the get-together of Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, and Panama on Contadora to launch the Contadora Initiative. Because what this Contadora Initiative is all about is really extremely important for us. It says, first of all, that we, the people of Latin America and the Caribbean, will try to solve our problems ourselves. It says, secondly, that we do not accept the use of violence as a means of settling our disputes. And it says, fourthly, that we are not prepared to accept that any country in our region, far less any country outside our region, has the right to interfere in the internal affairs of another country. But these people have also thrown out another allegation against Grenada. This other allegation concerns the question of our international airport project. This one is, of course, the most comical one of all. According to the formulators of this famous theory, Grenada's international airport is now going to become a military base and will now become a strategic jump-off point from where we can launch an attack on the great, big, powerful, mighty United States. It looks like if we have become a superpower. But the reality of the airport, of course, is well known to all those who make those statements. This airport is an ancient dream of the people of our country. This international airport has undergone a quarter century of studies. All previous governments from 1955 have spoken about the need for the airport. And if you understand the situation in our country, that will be no surprise to anybody. The present airport is called Pearls. Pearls has a strip 5,500 feet long. That means only little turboprop planes can come in. The turboprop planes that come in carry a maximum of 48 passengers. And better still, these planes can only land during the day between 6 and 6 because there are no night lights. The question of the length of the strip, the basis on which we had to make a strip of 9,000 feet is because all of the manuals that were done by European and American companies. I can think of McDonnell Douglas, people who do the DC-8 and so on. I can think of the Boeings. They have produced manuals saying what length of strip is required if their planes are to land. So unless we born big and stupid, you can't expect us to put down a strip that planes that can carry people, normal jet planes, won't be able to use. So the fact of the matter is the 9,000 feet was dictated by the necessity for that. This international project, as we see it, is the gateway to our future. As we see it, it is what alone can give us the potential for economic takeoff. As we see it, can help us to develop the tourist industry more, can help us to develop our agro-industries more, can help us to export our fresh fruits and vegetables better. That is why we have an exception this year. Usually every year at the end of December, we announce what the next year will be called. You know, a year of education, production, or whatever it is. But last month, 6.5 months ahead of schedule, we announced to our people what the name of next year will be. So they can start from now to mobilize, including mobilizing overseas around the name. Because 1984 next year will be called the year of the International Airport. And the fact of the matter is, next year is also significant for us because on the 13th of March, 84, it will be the 5th anniversary of the revolution. And therefore, what we want to do during the 5th festival on the 13th of March itself is to open our international airport. Long live the people of Pre-Grenada. Long live the workers, farmers, youth, and women of Pre-Grenada. Long live the people of the United States. U.S. relations and friendship. Long live the people of Cuba and Nicaragua. Long live the people of Angola and Mozambique. Okay.
Well. What a day. March 13, 1979, 1983 ended. But nevertheless, we are here this morning on Caribbean Connections. But before we go, I just want to, today's the 12th. And as we prepare to celebrate tomorrow right here on Gemfm with the Gemfm, we'll be hosting the 43rd anniversary of the Green Revolution right here on Gemfm. It will be a really good thing for you to be here tomorrow to witness and to hear the speakers tomorrow. Without any further ado here, I want to say welcome to all my compadres, my paisanos. Delbert Baptiste, I think he put the picture up and go and tie the ship.
No. He is busy. You need to ask me now. Where is
Delbert. I think
you need to ask me. I have some prophecies over his life.
Is he over on the other side of the fence picking up plums and mangoes? I think the season coming up.
No. He's only I'm picking up grafted mangoes these days.
Oh. Yeah. All right. So Louis, how are you doing? How is your week? Your mic is muted. You're still muted.
Oh, my thing. John, you have to change your background because when I come on, it does not look good.
No, you're looking good.
So I have to change it. Give me a second.
Looking good. Okay, Louis. Okay. All right.
I am well. I had a fantastic and productive week.
Great.
This is what I would like to say. On the eve of the Grenada Revolution, I recall this quote made by Maurice Bishop. Revolutionaries do not have the right to be cowards. We have to stand up to fight for our country because the country is ours. It does not belong to anyone else. End quote.
At all. This is our land.
Exactly.
Yeah? When the falsifiers of history want to make us believe that the American Revolution was a Boston Tea Party, was a bloody tea party. Yes? Yeah. When you say in Grenada, we don't believe in electing people for life. We believe in service for life. When you stop serving, you must get out of the way and let somebody else serve. Yes, we also believe that because of the popularity of our revolution, nobody, because of who you are, should be engaged in any violence surrounding the overthrow of the government. And anyone move in that direction would be ruthlessly crushed. That was Morris Bishop's famous piece out of that whole speech down there. He sent a message. And, our revolution was different than any revolution. I know St. Lucia had one, and they said they had a revolution, but just had a change of government, really. You should just have election because nothing changed in St. Lucia. You understand? In Grenada, we made a complete change. We had introduced and created new things. You know something significant about the revolution? It's not that they just implement their own thing. Stuff that Gary had planned to do, they did it. They make it happen. It wasn't new it wasn't a new idea of the airport. It wasn't a new thing of marketing board. It wasn't a new thing of the NIS. All of them was there before Gary had opportunities to do it, but didn't have the people, the skill and the willingness to be able to do that. He wasn't a very, let's say, resourceful person to galvanize the rights of people around him to do it. A matter of fact, when I was making the point that the NIS was offered to Gary, and he felt like he didn't have enough people working, so he couldn't take money from people that wasn't working already, and it wasn't enough. So what the Revolution did, as they came in, they worked on getting it, setting it up so then they could implement it. So they create the airport, the marketing board, the master organizations. They had no people working. So then you could start introducing the NIS, and that was taking place nicely. And the objective was the profit was able to turn over to build houses and sell them or lease them out. And so as the profit comes in, it turns into something that could create more employment and more benefits that could be brought to people, like Maurice said. State enterprises should not be subsidized, but you must make a profit so the people's interests could be served. I tell you, I don't know about you, but every time yes.
John, given that we have just celebrated International Women's Day,
yes,
we as Grenadian women should be thrilled and appreciative of the Grenada Revolution. Amen. Because of that particular revolution, we as women got maternity leave. Mm-hmm. People not remembering that. Equal pay was another big factor. Education, free education for children. Mm-hmm. So when you think about that, that's what moves a nation. The women are taken care of, the nation becomes healthier.
Real.
The vulnerable people are taken care of, we move forward.
Yes.
And it was all hands on deck. It was a village. Every village participated. Everyone was involved.
What I call the system of popular democracy. Yes.
Therefore, it works. It works in Grenada because of the people of Grenada. That's who we are, the tribes, where it is a cultural from the motherland, Africa. We work better when everyone is involved, everyone shares their opinion, and it works best.
Yes.
I may not agree with everything that the revolution, because there's quite a bit of negative, but let's look on the positive. It's done, it has happened. Let's look at the positive.
Yeah.
Can we take? Gary did some positive things as well. Let's look at the positive things. It's not about a color. It's about the betterment of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and all the other small islands in between. Thank you.
Especially Sugarloaf, right?
Especially Sugarloaf.
Good morning, my dear. You gotta help me out. Which I get them mixed up all the time. One is Sugarloaf and one is
Sandy Island.
Sandy Island.
Yes.
So.
And then right out of Battery is out of Battery.
The one down by Livera Bay, that's Sugarloaf.
Yes.
Yes, and Sandy is the one you could see from PTNs.
Okay.
You know, there's several
So
there.
when we're in Batway, the regular way we're in Batway, there's one straight ahead there. Which one is that?
So isn't that one Sandy Island?
That island has the best beach in Grenada.
Okay.
You get, I mean, I couldn't even imagine it. I mean, it puts Grenada to shame. It puts Batway to shame.
Wow.
So much so that the international travelers, those guys with the yachts and so forth, know about it. And they come in there and picnic for a day and just leave.
Wow. See,
it has an unbelievable beach there. You know, it's about, by boat, it's about maybe 20 minutes sailing out of Batway and you get there. Or maybe
you know
less.
what? I'm going to go verify what I've just said because I'm still having my coffee. What I'm in Sandy Island. Who is on the Facebook Live? Verify.
You know, there are a number of people who know that, you know. Yeah, I think that one is Sandy Island.
I think it's Sandy Island.
Yeah.
I have 3 questions to ask.
No,
4 questions.
Okay.
Delbert, well, no, where's my daughter-in-law? That's 1 question.
I didn't hear that.
Where is my daughter-in-law? Is she okay? Did you tell her
Tex, I do not trust you.
Tell her I said that I love her. I'm
gonna bring her on camera. She's gonna come on camera soon.
Tell her that I love her. That I'm so there are some questions that I have.
Good morning, Tex. Happy birthday. Belated greetings.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I love that. I in my last sabbatical in Grenada, which I spent almost 3 years, I had the opportunity to go on that beach twice, and oh man, I had such a ball. You know, really nice.
So my question is today, because I want to ask wide question for people that is still out there and still wondering why we do the things that we do. So the first question, what is the benefit of the revolution as of today? Because we keep doing the anniversary. What is the benefit for Grenada for us to be celebrating?
So I'm going to jump on that.
Yes.
Because I have thought about this for a long time. And you could list a number of issues how the revolution benefited Grenada. But about 2 years ago, a friend of mine, a Shaper boy, Jerry Grant, so I want to give him full credit for it. We were in this conversation, brilliant guy, very profound thinker, great writer too. We were in this conversation and he said to me that he believes that the greatest benefit, the number one thing that the revolution did to Grenada was help create today's middle class. There's a middle class in Grenada now of professional people who have been very well educated and hold very respectable jobs, both in government and the private sector. And when you chronicle the revolution and what happened in the early years and the investment in education, he believes that this was the number one thing that the revolution did for Grenada. And that's kind of strange. And I think, John, this is a question that we're going to have to ask B-Man, because I didn't immediately agree, because I saw the benefits as being education, of course, or advancement in healthcare, or advancement in food security. Also, don't underestimate a people when they feel proud about the country that they come from. And the revolution did that for Grenada. But over the last 2 years, I have thought more and more about it. And I agree with my friend Jerry Grant that what the revolution did was build a basis, build a platform for today's middle class. And because of that,
so much of the progress that has happened, limited as they may be. Well, Grenada has made progress. What we have not done move forward is in our political sort of thinking. We have become a little bit more tribal than I remember us. Because during the Gary time, right, around election time, we argue, we fight, but tomorrow we're good again. Now it seems to go on forever. And I don't like that. So I would say the number one benefit is the creation of today's middle class, and that has done great for Grenada in terms of continuing to educate young people, continuing to open up the world. Because when Grenadians travel outside of our homeland, we not just compete, we excel. And there was a large migration of professionals and revolutionaries following the collapse of the revolution. And almost every one of them I know succeeded in their efforts outside. And those who stayed, who were closely part of the thing, are an important part of the process now. You had doctors, all the doctors who trained in Cuba. Dr. Dragon comes to mind, Dr. Belfon comes to mind, even
Martin?
Dr. Martin, the Clarice Modeste, one of the original 38 students who went to Cuba, Alfred Logie, who successfully ran so many different financial institutions in Grenada successfully. Kester Dragon. I mean, the list just goes on. Sandra, who's a dentist up from my area. Dr. Joseph, who is a leading, probably arguably one of the best dermatologists in the Caribbean. So you had them, and you had other people. Pilgrim Doughton, who is an agricultural economist, well respected throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. Okay. So that is, I think, is the number one thing. I have to agree with my friend. I couldn't come up with a better reason.
I don't agree with you, because the leadership of Grenada had focus of the main objective not about the present but the future, building Grenada. And what happened then? What has happened for that's 40 years? Yeah, you're seeing the coming back of all these doctors, all these people who train around the world that was sent by the revolution, they come back home. And one of the things that you see, that you see all people like Richard Duncan and all these people in very key positions in Grenada. All revolutionaries, people who were students as we were. And a lot of these people have assert themselves and put themselves in and continue right now. Can you imagine if Maurice will be about 70 something, 75, 76 now, that transition or been taking place? You know what I mean? Young leaders being in the forefront and running the economy.
But you know, John, I'm just thinking about it now. The last conversation we had with B-Man when I was involved, when he told us that his singular goal, was to raise the standard of living of Grenadians equal to middle class community in the United States. I just remember that after I made that comment. So it ties nicely into what Jerry Grant said.
I mean, he said that as a economist, that was his objective, to make Grenada so Grenada would never have a poverty problem. He didn't Grenada was small enough for everybody to be a middle class, everybody, and he was going to ensure that happened. So again, when you see what he had done, the structure he had put in place, he had become the envy, and he was disciplined about it, and who wasn't towing the line, he was disciplining them. So you had to have it.
One of the things that, he was the genius behind the economic miracle that was the Grenada Revolution, and he doesn't get credit for it. But B-Man had this program, all right, that if you were a small businessman in Grenada struggling to make it, and you had imported some stuff to come into the island, but you didn't have the money to pay at the port, they had a little kind of unit that would help you. So you would sign, okay, here is what you owe. We'll give you the stuff, clear your stuff, go do your little business, and pay us every month something as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
Think of what that did for a small businessman, because a lot of times, sometimes you make the commitment, you buy the thing, when it come on the port, it's just too much for you to pay. So he had that program, basically a credit to small businessmen to come in and pay as they go, but they get to claim their merchandise immediately. And then as they sell, as they recoup things. That program was discontinued following the collapse of the revolution.
Yeah, that wasn't the entry.
So the next question I have,
Mm-hmm.
how does it benefit those that are still hurting in Grenada today, hearing the anniversary again and again every year?
That's a tough one, Tex. But
because
I am mature.
Based on the constitution that we have in Grenada now, which is supposed to uplift and help, but because of the ignorance that sits there, it's not really benefiting. So by we playing it and talking about it, how is it going to benefit them?
So I'm going to answer that question by doing something that I always criticize people for doing, called whataboutism. So I say that the revolution made some bad errors, made some bad mistakes, and a lot of people were hurt, either physically, emotionally, mentally, including strong supporters of the process. All right. There are also a lot of people out there claiming that things happen to them that never happened to them.
Yeah.
Okay, because I had personal accusation where a man told me, no, he saw me in the army, and while I, as a member of the party, I had to do military duties, I was never officially a member of the army. All right. I answer that question by saying, think about all the missed opportunities in healthcare and the people who died because of the poor health infrastructure that we have in Grenada. So while what happened in the revolution was traumatic, more people have been disadvantaged. If you take any 4-year period, the same 4.5-year period of the revolution, and measure it with any other 4.5-year period in Grenada's history, the revolution comes out ahead by miles. And to be objective. And that's not to say that we don't have to recognize people like me who are, kind of at the third tier leadership, as a youth leader working in government, that we have to be mature enough now, and we have to be honest enough with ourselves to recognize that we made mistakes, that we did stupid things. But at 19 years old, I thought I knew it all. I thought I had all the answers. There's no way you could tell me I wasn't right about what I was doing, right? And while I'm not excusing anybody's behavior there, but the head of the army was 25 years old, all right? We did not have the experience. All we had was energy and know-how. We didn't have the experience. We didn't understand conflict resolution. We didn't understand debating different ideas and allowing and the understanding that we can disagree with somebody but still have respect for them. And that's not just within a revolutionary context, because that problem gets expanded within revolution. But normally, just playing football and cricket growing up, if I write, I write. If I think I bowl the man out, I bowl the man out. It don't matter what anybody else say. If I think I made the catch, I made the catch. That's how we are at that age. And that's why having good parents in our lives are so important. I was telling somebody some years ago, actually my daughter told me that. She said, Dad, wow, you turned out to be a pretty good dad, And I was laughing. And she said, did you read it in books? And I said, no. I said, everything I learned about being a parent, I learned from my parents. Okay? And I gave them hell. But somehow the advice that they used to give me always stuck at the back of my head. And when that time came, all what I was trying was the things that my parents was telling me. Later on, I remember joking with my daughter and saying, Tally, all that thing you're trying on me there, I tried it with my mother and it didn't work. So I'm just giving you a heads up. And we would just laugh about it, you know. So when you're that age, you think you have all the answers, you know it all. You probably read 2 books that you think, you know, gives you a world of experience, and it really doesn't, you know. So youthful, our youthfulness, our our you know, in essence, right? The revolution failed because not and I'm not going to say certain people, both sides. We ended up with 2 sides wanted to deliver more benefits to the people. Let's not ignore that, right? They would have you believe that these were just 2 groups fighting about it for no reason. The fight was about how can we do more for our people? How can we build more roads? How can we fix more schools? What is the method we're going to use to do that? That's what the fight was about, you know. It wasn't about, oh, I'm in the right position. It was not about that. It was about how do we do more to deliver more material benefits to our people. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Think about it now, right? 40 years after the fact, that we lost the process because we didn't.
That's what I wanted to hear. Now, this bring benefit when we're doing the celebration. Most often I hear a celebration and I hear the people speak, but this is what I want. And for me, so when somebody asks me a question, I don't have to say, Yeah. This bring a lot of clarity because it was not about owning the country, but it was about developing the country to bring it to a better place. So when we having that meeting or the celebration tomorrow, I want to hear those words. And for people like me who cannot explain nothing at all to people out there that ask me a question, now today I could be so comfortable and confident in answering the question if they ask me, what is the benefit? Now today I know the benefit is to bring it to a better and expected end. That's what I
think about it, right? St. David's has the best roads in Grenada to date. The creation of that St. David's roadway started under the revolution because you know they started building out St. David's, right? And I'm confident to say that today, had the revolution survived, St. David's would have had a tongue by now, right? Clearly, no question about it. I knew that. There was even a concept one time to build a road from the top of Granite Town up in Granite Town to go straight into St. David's. So this was about big ideas. This was about doing big things, about transforming a country. And one side felt, well, this is the way to go. We have to do more. We have to get people who are more committed to doing the work. 12 hours a day is not enough. 16, you need to put in 16 hours. And some men say, well, I'm burnt out at 12 hours. What do you expect me? The fight was not about us lying in our pocket, about us enriching ourselves. It was always, I don't know, I can't tell you how many months I got my salary and it went back to groups. A group come and they tell me they need something, boy. We need some cricket ball. We need some this. And I go and buy it. I had an account, a personal account at Bain Sporting Goods that I used to send young people to. And they pay. And when I get money, I pay, you know?
So the next question is, okay, John, go ahead.
You know, what you about said there is in line with what Maurice said. We don't believe in elected people for life. We believe in service for life. Yes? Yeah. When you stop serving, you get out of the way and let somebody else serve. I think that was the key problem that we had in Grenada. You know, and we're solving this problem of service for life and not elected people for life. And hence the reason why the entrenching of the system of popular democracy, where the bureaucrat would have been asked to show up in a community where there's a project, and if the project have stalled, he have to give answer. Now the prime minister, the person, the bureaucrat have to answer to the people in the community. Why is this water is not coming up the hill? Why electricity stop? Why this road is not fixed? Why is such and such? It has to be the people's holding those bureaucrats accountable. So
I had to attend those meetings and answer questions too.
democracy itself was entrenched already. The baggy people was involved, and the people was making sure that those elected or those revolutionary leaders who was responsible for certain areas of work in the different ministries will be held accountable for the job. No right now on the nice fancy cars and soup.
I remember this funny incident I had. I laugh about it, where this youth group from Mount Morris, and we had difficulty organizing a youth group in Mount Morris, and there was this young lady who took it on her own and organized this sports club in Mount Morris, and she needed some equipment to get them going because she had shown them that she was going to, that she knew she had connections to get her the right equipment. Anyway, she knew Jackie Craig very well. They were either closely related or distant. They knew each other. So she went to Jackie, and Jackie just told her, go downstairs and see Delbert. Without knowing that my budget has been gone for the month already. And I told her, I said, well, give me a few days, let me figure out what I can do, if we can move stuff around, what I can do to help. I called a couple people who I know. That's another thing, right? We had people in the community that we could call to send $100 or $200 here, thing, and we put together and buy something for a group. But anyway, I tried and I was unsuccessful, And when she came back in the ministry, she was so pissed at me. She took out her shoes and came after me. Popped me on the side of the head with Elisha's shoes. And I was stunned, But here she was. She had promised these young people that she's going to do. And here I am. I'm trying my best, but I can't deliver. And she got mad at me because she thought I was holding out on her. So she took out her shoes and came after me, And, I was able to put in perspective, laugh about it, and still we were able to help her down the road. But these were the challenges that we faced on a day-to-day basis, There were times, right? Even when money was available on your budget, but then there was a place in the Ministry of Finance called the computer room. So the computer, one computer, monitored the budget for the island. So if the computer was down, we don't know what's available. So all of us who needed something approved, there was a young lady, I'm not going to mention her name now, but she was in charge of the computer room. So we'd have to go and beg if the computer is down, just approve it, please, just approve it. We have the money, I can assure you. So whenever we traveled overseas, we made sure we found, I know she was uncomfortable about it, but when we travel overseas, we'll also make sure we get a nice gift for her when we're coming back. Because if we could butter her up, we know when we go there and the computer is down, she'll give us an approval still. So, it was a challenge running government. It was a challenge. And think about that still with all the progress that was made. Like I said, in health. Remember, during the revolution, we established the first eye clinic in the Caribbean. The first eye clinic in the Caribbean. I remember people coming from Barbados, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Guyana to do their eyes in Grenada, have eye surgery in Grenada,
So last question, how does the revolution today help in the constitution of Grenada?
That's a tough one because I'm not a believer in the current constitution. I totally reject it in that it was imposed on our people, and I know I have an extreme position on that. Yeah. But I think what has happened is that Grenadians are arguably more politically savvy, and I'm not saying that as a diss to any one of my fellow Caribbean people, but Grenadians are very involved in their politics. They understand it very well, and I think the political education that happened during the revolution sort of helped that. But there's the other side, because people say, well, what happened to that education? Because you see things happening in Grenada that's not favorable, that's not politically progressive or moving the country forward. But we know, right? Education is something you have to use every day. If you don't use it, you lose it. Okay? So that was happening in Grenada. So while there's been a lot of progress made in that area, because you don't have that continued education going on, political education of our people, understanding government, understanding how it works, understanding its responsibility to the citizens. That has sort of disappeared, and it's probably not evident in most Caribbean countries. But I think that in terms of how the revolution will relate to today's constitution, it would be a very different constitution. It would have a lot of more sort of popular arms of government embedded in our constitution. We definitely wouldn't have no governor general. We definitely wouldn't have no queen as head of state. Most of the colonial laws that still remain on the books in Grenada would have long been repealed.
But I want to make one correction here because Biman challenged that already. When the question of removing governor general was not going to happen, right? Under the was not going. He said that. He said they would never get rid of power school, right? He made an interview. I think it was an interview we had with him. He said that would have never.
Noise in your background.
Right. One of the things he said that you needed England, despite you to the connection with Eastern Europe and the other European countries. You need that connection there, right? The British had that. So the whole idea of like he said, because the whole connection was not suspended. He make mention of what was suspended and why it was suspended, right? The court was still functioning the way it always does, yeah. And
basically, it was only the parliament.
Yeah, and the certain laws he said that was enacted because you can't have arrested all this Greenpeace and all these police and some judge somewhere because some legalities get them off the hook and put them back on the street. That wasn't going to happen. So they had to suspend some of the constitution to facilitate that. So going forward, what they had prepared was the preparation of our own constitution. Alexander was in Grenada in 1983, setting up a constitution from the boys of the people. So I don't think he was an instrumental part of the constitutional reform for Grenada for the independence. I make mention of another thing that had to be changed in that constitution for it to be what it is today. So England didn't really give us everything. They had put some stuff in the constitution. Gary had made some suggestions, like he meant.
No. I accept Bernard's reasoning on that totally. That it was important, and Grenada had very good and friendly relationship with England throughout the revolution. As a matter of fact, I think it was only in the history of the United Nations, the United States and England only voted 2 times. They voted differently in the history, right? And it was on Grenada and the Falkland Islands, right? The only 2 times the US and Britain disagreed. So that's significant.
I want to make mention here too that Grenada only constitution that have that once you have a child, that child automatically become Grenadian in the constitution, right?
I think that was Gary doing it.
No, that was Bernard plugged that in. That was part of his. The one that Gary wanted to put was Prime Minister for life, and
John.
Yes.
John. I think your volume is turned up to the max, so it's giving you that breeze after you finish speaking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Better now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with all of that, when Gary minister sneaking the information to Bernard the night before they go to England, yeah. So Bernard had information from Gary's camp of what Gary will be putting into the constitution when they get to England, what he wanted to adjust in the constitution. So the whole idea that we should just everything, no, they gave us things that we have. But we
No. And I have the opportunity now looking at it 20, 40 years thing. When they were doing that, it was in the middle and the whole geopolitical structure was very different. So I totally respect the decision that made. But I don't know, as somebody who grew up in Chantemelle, surrounded by estates where I saw hardworking, decent, good people being exploited by the plantation system, I'm just hardcore anti-colonialist.
Okay. There's some comments in the chat here from our really lovely people. I hope they'll be back with us tonight, Margaret and Mr. Lincoln Deputy and Comrade Lincoln Deputy. Margaret.
Yvonne.
Margaret. Hey.
And Yvonne Joseph.
Yeah. So I want to touch on something. Louis say it again. I was able to go back to school and ended up in teachers college. My country stand tall. Yes, go back to school and end up in teachers college. That's a great achievement. Yeah,
of course.
Because of the revolution. And it's our land too. I may not be alive, but China will never own the airport. We'll talk about it later on.
You know that who said that? You have to tie the success made in CP as part of that, because CP was one of the great achievements of the revolution.
That lady that you're talking about achievement CP. There's a brother who writes a lot on Facebook, Peter Belfort. The CP student.
Yeah.
Got it, becoming a nurse, and look at how he writes today.
Yeah. Wow.
Then was he CP teacher, right? I met a young man over here, and my pastor went to church this Sunday. He asked me, "Who am I?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I see this guy was born down to you." I said, "Why?" I said, "What? What?" He said, "The guy was born down on the street of the Clinton." I said, "That?" He said, "Yeah." The guy met me, and I taught them, he and his whole family, to read and write, right? Everybody, and he married to this lady, and he was telling how he evolved to become who he is today. And anytime you see this guy go out to Grenada, he did not know I was in Canada. When he go out to Grenada, he go take out to this guy to show the guy that helped him and his family. That computer in Canada, I met him, right? He was into computers and stuff like that, building computers and stuff like that, yeah. And when he saw me, the guy was actually going on his knees and doing a hug me and stuff like that. So my pastor wanted to know what this guy doing it for. So he was making a point to his wife that if it wasn't for this guy and the revolution that he came from, he would never be where he is today.
Yeah. No, and those things mean more to us than anything else. I remember, I don't know, probably about 20 years ago, I was on Flatbush Avenue, and I parked my car, and I was going to go on the avenue, and then I saw this lady walking down Maple Street, and I immediately recognized her from a neighboring village, who was a hard worker, always gave me good advice, but she struggled with the family. And she was also somebody who learned to read and write throughout the CP thing. Then had the opportunity to immigrate to the United States and became, and this is somebody who came to the United States in her 50s, right? And became a nurse's aide and then did her LPN, right? And I saw her, and she was walking with the bag, having retired. And I kind of walked up behind her and held the bag, so she turned around with her pocketbook in the other hand, ready to deck me in the head, because she's thinking is, somebody trying to grab her bag and run. So when she turns around, she sees me, and she started laughing. And I walked into the house, took her bag, and walked to the house. And when I got to the house, we started reminiscing and conversation, and she thanked me for my mom and everything. And then she told me, she said, "Do you believe she owned the house, right?" And she credited the whole experience learning to read and write during the CP program to her success in the United States. And sometimes folks like us who had the opportunity, who had the opportunity from day one, that we were educated, we take these things for granted. But these were life-changing moments for many of our people.
Yeah. All right. I want to read a couple more comments, play one song, and come back. Our guest is here from the cultural capital of Grenada. Tex, you will meet somebody you have never met.
I get to defend my You mean I get to defend my cultural capital this morning?
Louis, I know. I do there, but just sit in a corner and just wait there, because I know it.
John, you have to mute I'm the guy, or whosoever it is, because something is on there. Just mute everybody for now until we come back on.
Yes.
Each person that you will unmute.
Oh, look.
So okay, hold on one second, guys.
Okay, Louis, give a special candy to keep me. I could be quiet for a while. They'll put a candy, a soothing candy. However, we have a couple comments. I wanted to read Margaret. Margaret, good morning, guys. I agree with the Jerry assessment of the creation of the professional middle class, and that class came from poor people, children who would not have had opportunities that had that kind of education before the revolution, and that is so correct, so profound. It is real. The other one here we have Lincoln Deputy Ewart Lane, headache. Ken was on the chat last night too. In an interview with Carlos Ferrer, my cousin, says, from the international airport to something as small as a date for carnival, right? It shows the legacy of the revolution. We did many things, yeah, right. But we also made some serious blunders. I think not embracing the system of parliamentary democracy, that was a blunder. I think that was going to be fixed. I mean, like Maurice Mickey said that when the Americans had the revolution, it took them 13 years before they had an election. So we was in our right to decide when to have election and so on to set the structure in place to consolidate the revolution and make it be what it had to be. So I'll give him a pass on that. I agree on that, Lincoln, but I'll give him a pass on that. He said here, Grenada generally may be politically savvy, but the rest of the Caribbean, we are very conservative and averse to change. We don't change unless pushed or shoved or imposed. That's how change and improvement came about during the revolution. And you're so right. I think Maurice McGee said people was pulled into the process. Yeah, it wasn't literally like people see what happened, but it was pulled into it. They was drawn into it. And by so doing, we have to have the things that we have had done. So it wasn't no perfect revolution. There was a mistake, a blunders was made. Yes, a lot of stuff. And I had a conversation with a brother last week of the radio, and he was making some serious points about himself being a counter-revolutionary and what they did and being destructive and stuff like that. So he made points that they was doing wrong thing too. All right. They had no objective of running country. They was no way qualified to do it. They were just based on some followers they had with KB and other people. They decided to go on that rampage and do the things that they was doing and get mopped up by other people to do the things that they was doing. So they themselves didn't have no real plan for Grenada. They just decided to create problems. So that was one thing. So here we are tonight, this afternoon, and I want to play a song and before we move on to our guests. And this one is in the Revolution Forward March.
Forward march to Osprey House, forward march. And it's the march against oppression, forward march. Now grenade and the proclamation, end of misery and oppression. So we feel grenade and with our song. Forward march, forward march. Forward march against imperialism. Forward march, forward march, against imperialism. And oppression, so we feel grenade of moving our song. Forward march, forward march, forward march against imperialism. Forward march, forward march, forward march against imperialism. Colonialism, forward march. Even fighting imperialism, forward march. Now grenade and the proclamation, end of misery and oppression. So we give grenade and we move our song. Forward
the workers' fight for justice forward march. In this struggle we are united forward march. For now will be the contribution. We end corruption and oppression. And we keep winning the weekly very hand. Forward march, forward march, forward march against the easy. Forward march, forward march, forward march against the easy.
Does anyone remember that song?
Realism, forward march. Well, right here at this juncture, we have our guest here today. And well, before Louis introduce him, I want to just play one song in the introduction, then Louis will bring him in. All right. This one is Clip My Wings, one of my favorite of the brother. Clip My Wings.
Last year after the dust at Seaman, their voices glowed and glimmered, they clipped my wings. Oh, they clipped my wings. You will swear they just won the lotto, because there was a joyful echo. They clipped my wings. Ah, they clipped my wings. He can return, at last he's done. A next one just by the dust. That old disease brought to his knees, no longer to torment us. But in the midst of my affliction, there is one thing I know for certain. They could clip my wings, but I will never stay down. They're wrong. I don't need no wings to fly. Not I will soar up there among all the greats who champion the poor man's plight. I don't need no wings to fly. Not I. When people say please don't abandon us, that's when I am in full flight. So I will rise high above the pit they have been digging. Rise. So they better don't expect me to fall in. Rise. High above the malice and the spite, this voice will echo on through the night. I will rise. And tell them to consider it carefully. Rise. They can decide to sell out all we patrimony. Cause at the rate they want to sell between me and you, they might just sell out the people too. I will rise. One pen wouldn't break, one sell out won't shake. Don't make a mistake, I will rise. Don't care how they try, won't lie down, won't die. Cause I don't need no wings to fly. They could not contain their happiness. Plan executed, mission accomplished. To clip my wings. Oh, they clipped my wings. 7 titles, that was a mistake. That they swear never again to make. They clipped my wings. Oh, they clipped my wings. Now they cut me down and trim my comb. All their sins will go unchecked, while they squeeze and squash the middle class. No one will breathe down their neck. No more wings, no more opposition. So they could tax us into oblivion, cause they know that no Calypsonian would make a song. But they're wrong. I don't need no wings to fly. Not I. Anytime they come with a tomfoolery, I will be on top of the game. I don't need no wings to fly. Cause the little kids will look up to me. History will remember my name. So I will rise up and tell all of them candidly, another crown don't really mean much to me. But But the thing that's really my concern is all the lies that mama gives on. How come the economy always growing, but the poor and vulnerable increasing? Meanwhile, the Idlers Association growing so big it get out of hand. I will rise.
Yes, I will rise. I will rise. That is the man's caller, King's caller, and from the cultural capital of Grenada. And welcome, Mr. Finley Jeffrey, to Gemfm Radio and Genesis Magazine. It has been a long time coming. The last time we spoke, we went on a picnic together. Yes, in Niagara Falls. So I know you will be here someday, but Louis had gone before me and do that. But that's nice. I still appreciate you being here. I'll turn it over to Louise to take it away. Louise.
Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you today. Ladies and gentlemen of the world, we welcome Finley Jeffrey, better known as King Scholar, Cultural Ambassador of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. He holds a Bachelor of Education degree with honors in Educational Administration from the University of the West Indies and a Master of Science degree with distinction in International Human Resource Management from the University of Manchester, United Kingdom. Here is a brief synopsis of his career as an artiste. Finley Jeffrey, better known as King Scholar, is 9 times Calypso Monarch of Grenada. Bravo, bravo, bravo. He's also the 1998 Soca Monarch, Independence Monarch 1993, Lyrical Monarch 1996, and Groovy Monarch of 2007. Though he's known more so for his political and social calypsos, he is an exceptional composer, writer, and has written numerous calypso and soca songs. Finley has also written extensively for many artists, including 2-time Calypso Monarchs of Grenada, Biko and Beast, Lady Fearless, Akima Paul, Roach, and Eagle of Carriacou, not forgetting Lester Paul's band. My first question to Mr. Finley today: what is the future of Calypso in Grenada? I ask this question because I'm aware that you have co-written and developed a 5-year curriculum for the training of junior Calypsonians, and as well as facilitated Calypso and soca writing and performing classes for junior artists.
All right, well, good morning to all. Afternoon in my time, but I think in some time zones is good morning. Good morning to John Tex. Well, I've never known you, but I like you immediately because I like your name. Tex, that's a nice name. It sounds like a Kaiso name. And then of course I have my the gentleman with the black. That's a gentleman that I grew up with. We were neighbors, same village of Chantimel. And I can tell you, Chantimel is not just a place to grow up, but Chantimel is something that goes into your DNA. So once Chantimel is there, you're always Chantimel, you know. So we are related and bound by this. And I heard you talking about the revolution and whatnot. This gentleman was a gentleman that led me because he went to school in McDonald College. I was a little fella at that time, and have me going all about the study drive and marching all over the place. And as you guys spoke about the revolution, I could never forget that. He was a very active student, really, in the revolution. But it's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to Louise and John. You spoke about the Canada trip. I remember that very well. And you know, one thing I remember about this, with some misgivings, I had a cell phone that I used to write my kaisos in. And you know, I lose that cell phone in the waterfall. And he had about 10 kaisos in that never recovered.
Okay.
So I always thinking I had to go back in that waterfall and look for myself. But it's a pleasure to be here. And let me jump straight into the question. The truth is that kaiso in its purest form really has always been a concern as to its continuity. You would find that over a number of years, and it's not only in Grenada, it's the same in Trinidad and whatnot. The cream that rises to the top and has stayed at the top are the normal, usual, reoccurring faces. So in Trinidad, you have chalk dust, the cry, Dubai, Dubai of chalk dust, you always hear that. And there is hardly any refreshing of the crop. And it's basically the same thing in Grenada. Now we have a thriving junior calypso competition, but the issue is that the juniors, they somehow do not make the leap into the seniors. Since the days of Inspector and Randy Isaac, you can count them on your hand. Biko, who came through the juniors, not much have made that transition. So it's always a concern as to what would be the future of calypso. And then you have the competing aspect of the soca. And the soca, we all know, is a simpler thing. Kaiso is what you call the test cricket of the art form. You have to give and hazard and like it and grind and so on. Soca is now for now. You could just follow what somebody sings somewhere and you do something and tutus, you become famous. When you look at the soca competition, it's one song. Calypso is 2 songs. Soca, when you're performing, if you're tired, you stop and you just say low. And that's it. But kaiso, you can't say low. So it's a harder thing. And you'll find that most of the young people are gravitating towards the soca. And this is also a problem. So you ask a very important question that Calypso, the Calypso fraternity has been grappling with for a number of years as to how do we fix this. There has not been a concerted effort really to envelop the problem and to strike it at the heart. You have had some piecemeal stuff happening. For example, myself, Black Wizard, Teacher Eddie, Rootsman Kelly, we have had Calypso classes every Saturday for young people. And a number of young Calypsonians have come up from that. But it was sponsored, I think, by GUT Credit Union. But we have not had it since before the pandemic. And I do not know if it would come back. But Ministry of Culture, Spice Mass, and so on, this is an issue that they would have to tackle head on, because when you see this generation goes, we don't know what is happening. I mean, my son is coming up. You have some other young ones are coming up, but they are not coming up fast enough. And so it is an issue that we have to solve.
Yes. And the reason why I also recently, actually, was it yesterday, there was an announcement of a music lab, another school in the Grenville area that was added on. So now with all these labs through more or less throughout the Grenada, why not incorporate Calypso, like make that part of it into the school curriculum? That's what I was thinking.
Yes, and that's a good idea. As a matter of fact, the music lab that they would have launched, I think it's 2 days ago, was actually in SAS, where my wife is the principal. Okay. And it's something that she would have pushed for heavily. There's one in McDonald College where yes. I used to teach before. She used to teach before there as well. Mm-hmm. And she was always up in arms, I guess because she lives in a Kaiso family. So she understands the whole thing of music. So she wanted this lab
in SAS, and it has come to fruition. So it's a good question. I think the issue is that with the whole education system, there is a lot of piecemeal things going on. And what you find happening is that culture is not given a proper shape on the curriculum at all. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say that we have backpedaled from years ago, because right now there is not even Delbert, they used to have Festival of the Arts.
Yeah.
In schools.
Yes.
We don't even have this thing again, you know. Schools have no Festival of the Arts where all children have to go and sing, you know how much choir singing and how much little girls opening skirt and so on. These things are no more, right? You used to have steel pans in a lot of schools. These things are basically no more. So in a lot of ways, the education system has not catered for this properly, and so it's a good idea to bring Calypso into the schools. Not only Calypso, but a lot of aspects of the same thing that we call carnival, wire bending, and how to make costumes, because all our costumes and so on, Chinese and things are making them.
Yeah.
Chinese are making them, right? And so on. So there's so much that the education system can do. And you're correct. Culture is one of them. And Kaisu is one of them. We can't go there.
Yeah. This summer, with the hopes that it does go through, I'll be supporting the St. Patrick Youth Organization with a summer camp. I'm not sure to the particulars that, you know, the content or the programming, but I will speak to Brent about that. I was just thinking it is such appropriate to include that. But the reason, again, I'm thinking about it as a mom, I'm planning on being in Grenada. I'm bringing my 13-year-old son. So I'm planning, okay, what can I plan for him to learn? So it's a learning experience for him while in Grenada. I am sure I'm not the only parent from the diaspora that will be traveling into Grenada. What a great opportunity, like during the summer, to have such a program where our kids can learn in everything, the wire bending, the arts and crafts, and it could become a summer, program for all our children, including those in Grenada. And that can be supported by the diaspora, and I think it's feasible. So hence one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you, because I know you are an influencer, and I wanted to get that out there and to those that are listening, because our culture is dying, and we have to, once you put it out in the universe, it works. It happens.
Right. Well, you look as though we got to put you on the cultural foundation when you come down.
I'll be happy to. Now, tell me some more about the Cultural Foundation and what's your goal and mandate, and how we here in the diaspora can assist you.
Well, that is something that the honest truth is, and you may be surprised to hear that it is something that I can't tell you about, There are some different bodies that are responsible for the promotion, the elevation, maintenance, whatever you want of culture. So you have the SMC, which is the Spice Mass Corporation. They deal specifically with carnival. Then you have the Cultural Foundation that deals with everything cultural. All of the different festivals that we have, whether it be Karikou. And Grenada is one place that is blessed because we have so many cultural festivals. Some of them start off even with some kind of spontaneity and then blossom and then died again because of the fact that
you do not have the organization. You see, when you do not have strategic planning in place, this happens. So you had all this St. Patrick's Day and the St. Mark's Day and the Witch Day and whatnot. They came up, blossomed, festooned, and then brap. That's it. You have Fisherman's Birthday. You have so many cultural festivals. And when you speak to Carriacou, well, every day or every month in Carriacou, you have some cultural thing taking place. It's just about, it's just about strategically planning and bringing these things together so that they make sense and they can grow. And that's where the cultural foundation comes in, or is supposed to come in. And then, of course, you have the Ministry of Culture as the overarching body. Sad to say that these arms, these three arms, sometimes they do not coexist in a way that will be beneficial for those things to try. And sometimes you wonder where one mandate starts and the next one ends. And so this, I think, is part of the problem that we have in Grenada. And then on top of that, it is also about, because culture is something that you must, that it needs financing. Yeah. You can't do piecemeal thing and say, all right, I'll give you a couple $1,000. And when you look at the budget statements and so on for some of these organizations, you have to wonder how they survive in far less to carry out their mandate. You see, so we have to be treat culture in a way that says it is important. I mean, when you think, for example, of Carnival, Carnival is a major money earner for the country. I mean, nobody can doubt that. I mean, there has not been a feasibility study that has ever been done to determine how much Carnival generates or how much it contributes to the gross domestic product. And I believe that they do not want to do that because they feel ashamed of the amount that they are putting into it, something that helps the economy so much, you see. And so when these things happen, you just think about it. Sometimes we have a cricket match, some test cricket or some one-day cricket, and we pump a lot of money into this. And they will say to you that the reason why, even if the tickets are not sold out, or though they don't sell at all, but they will refer to the spin-off effect. The spin-off effect, right? Everybody, vendors selling this thing. And so when you think of the spin-off effect from Carnival, it is enough to pump monies into it. But sadly, this is not what we have seen. And it's not just this government, but governments in the past. We are not serious about culture. And I think this is a kind of nice way of putting it. They are not serious about culture.
Understood.
Louise, I just want to correct something that you said you're one off, but we have people as Maria with the Carnival, and she's also part of the diaspora. We have the young people that is also part of the diaspora that do things from Canada to Grenada. We have the Maple dancers that also fluctuate from.
No, that's not what I was referring to, Tex.
So when you say you're one off, you're not one off, you're one of the many. So I just want you to just.
What are you referring to?
You said that you're one of the people from the diaspora that will be going to Grenada to do things. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, but in these circumstances, those other names should not be mentioned because I'm saying I'm one off many. There are more of me that will be going home as a parent.
So now you make it clear. That's okay.
Tex,
so
let me ask you.
Okay. Yeah. Next time, inbox.
Tex, let me ask you a question. Maria is still active?
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to answer that question. That's personal. So you have to talk to her. Thank you.
Maria, you mean if she's still active? I don't mean if she's still active doing other stuff, you know. I mean culturally.
Yeah, she is.
Yes.
She is.
Right. That's what I mean. Well, all you need to give Maria some what? Hang something big thing on Maria neck. Because since I was a little fella, I have been when I came to Toronto the first time, it was Maria. If Maria is still there, that's longevity for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Maria has taken up a huge responsibility in running the organization now, even stronger and better. But there's a lot of work to be done where that is concerned, culturally.
Right.
But she's working hard with a new team of people to ensure that the cultural aspect of the Caribbean and Grenada in particular be lifted. I think she's working hard at that. So, she'll be here sometime in the near future because our Grenada Day is coming up soon. And now she comes on here every year pre the event. So she'll be here one Saturday or so. She'll be here with us.
Guys, this interview is about Mr. Scholar. Not about nobody else. Please respect you. Thank you.
So
moving forward, thank you. This is my questions for now. I know my dear friend Delbert is waiting patiently. Go ahead.
I don't know if I have so much of a question, but because as Scholar said at the beginning, we grew up as neighbors, and I don't think he's going to be mad at me for saying, listen, this brother comes from, you talked about him as a cultural ambassador, but he's also a phenomenal educator, right? We can't let that slide. I can't let it slide, but he comes from a long, a storied generation in Chantemelle of doing culture and doing it very well, right? And I remember his dad, who used to have the best big band in and around Chantemelle and surrounding villages. And Scholar would know exactly what I'm talking about, because anybody could not come into my mom's yard. So you had to be well respected to come into the yard. So even though she loved Carnival and she loved that, she, what we used to call, she wouldn't participate in the slackness. But I know when Mr. Hennessy band come, he's allowed to come in the yard with his band, and she sits there and she enjoys it and things. And so his success, while I know he has put in tremendous work, both as a Calypsonian, as a cultural icon of Grenada, as an educator in young minds that he has molded and changed over the years. Not many people in life get to succeed at the very top in different careers. And my friend, my villager, my comrade, I forget I used to drag you around, it's amazing how many things about the revolution that we forget, but those were the days. But I got a little surprised, right? I've been trying to get Ms. Baptiste to come on the show for Say Something for months now, more than that. And now I don't want to, your show is all political, I don't want to do anything like that. So this week I said, Scholar is going to be on. And she said, really? Scholar is going to be on? So she said, I got to come on the show. So I want to, Scholar, I have somebody here, and I don't remember the show. I want to say hi. I know it's a little bit of a surprise, but she performed with you some time ago, and she talks about how well you treated her when you guys performed together. I think it was, 2007, 2008, thereabout, So she wants to say good morning and hi to you, and thanks for being such a good guy, and I had to remind her that, Chantemelle only produced good and great guys.
Good morning to you all. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi, Paula. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Oh, good. Do you remember my face?
Yes.
Hi, John.
Oh!
Wow.
I love you, girl. It's
Oh, I love you too. Miss you, girl. Miss you.
Yes.
You have to have a serious talk with Delbert.
Yes.
Well, the cat is on the bag.
Scholar, we performed together in 2007. We compete together. I made the final in the groovy. That was my first year that I tried.
2007?
2007, yes.
Yes.
So that was in Boucheju.
Boucheju.
Right, yes.
You remember me now?
Yes,
I was all in red. I had this bright red outfit. I remember that. I came fourth. I don't think they record from fourth because I tried going on to see if I find anything. I didn't see me.
You came fourth?
Yeah.
Well, you can boast because that night in question, you beat Mr. Killer.
Yes.
Yes.
I did.
Yes, you did.
And I think about this was my only time that I tried. So if I kept it up, I would have been the queen.
Well,
you are the queen.
Most definitely.
I am coming back. But
I was just going to ask you that.
I know you were talking about Calypso, and I am not that organized for Calypso. I'm more on the groovy side. Calypso is very hard, I have to say. When you open that school, I will join. It's very hard the way it's structured.
Test cricket.
The way it's structured, and you have to have memory for all your lyrics. You can't make a mistake. Like soca, you could say, hold on, pull it up again. You can't do that with Calypso, okay? They're going to boo you. So I like the groovy, and now I'm more on the Christian side. I'm doing gospel. So if I come back, it will be more conscious lyrics. That's what I'm going to be. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
There is always a place for conscious lyrics.
Sorry?
I said there's always a place for conscious lyrics. Groovy these days has a lot of conscious stuff in it.
Yes.
So there's always a place now. So great, you should come back.
Yes, I will.
But the truth is that I have to be honest. I don't remember you.
I know you don't.
No, I don't. So it has to be that you've grown.
Yes. You didn't have love at the time.
What name did you sing under?
Lady Liz.
Lady Liz.
Louise knows me well.
Yes, I remember, yes.
I did a few Revolutional show with her dressed up in my army clothes, Louise, you still have those flyers?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah. Me and Randy Isaac, I remember. Yeah.
The first one we did.
Yes.
But the people of Toronto was not prepared.
No.
Yes, I continued doing it, but I came to the conclusion that they were not prepared to have to begin the healing.
I believe
it was done how I had presented it was in form of information and getting together and communication scholar, and they were not prepared at all. And they were and the promoters in Toronto at the time, I can say that because I'm now mature and older and understood the politics behind it. They did not support it. They will put other events right next to it.
Yes.
Yeah, Lady Liz could vouch for that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we have to fight every year to make them all understand.
They've done that.
Every
year. But again, they were not prepared. But here we are today. I'm still relevant and I'm still doing what I love best. Boom.
Yeah.
God is good.
To God be the glory. All right, it's wonderful to see everyone. John, I'm coming to see you, all right?
And I'm so happy because I met Scholar, I think it was 2007 or 8. Was it 8? When he came up for Grenada Day. And I was the one that took with all the various artists.
That was 2009.
Was it 9? Yes.
Yes.
The Kings. And I call it was the Kings because all of them that were here were the kings who actually did.
Yes, I was there. I was there, but I didn't perform that day. Yeah. I think they made me open the show. Oh, yeah. I opened the show that day. Yeah.
Yes. But that's another. We also have a history with the conception of that organization and people involved, and we had to walk away for medical.
Yes. I remember. I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember.
Yes. It's all good, but again, we're here because of scholars' accomplishments. He's not only an excellent singer, calypsonian, but he also writes. He also puts planning in place, and we know that even though the future is not so visible at the moment of Calypso, with him and his spouse, we know it will be done. And it's a call out now to the universe in terms of our culture. You know, things will start happening.
Yes.
It will happening, putting it out to the universe.
Okay, Scholar, I just want to say to you that you got a singer if you're looking for someone to sing your lyrics, all right?
Well, I must say thank you very much for the offer, and it's very, very good to see you. You brought back some memories there. Nostalgic, I must say, because 2007 is when I won the Groovy.
Yes.
So it brought back some memories there. So it's very, very nice to see you. And don't stifle the talent. Whether it be inspirational, whether it be whatever it be, you have the talent. Make your contribution.
Most definitely. All righty.
So I'm looking forward to seeing you this year.
Yes, I'm coming down to Grenada.
All right, great. So
hopefully
we'll see.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
I have one question.
Take care.
So because I don't really follow up Calypso, forgive me. You said somebody says Calypso is a hard job. Does that mean that they stop sing Calypso in Grenada?
No. They can't stop singing Calypso in Grenada. The truth is that no matter the future is uncertain for Calypso, and no matter Calypso is hard, but just as Test cricket, you see, and I always make those comparisons. You see, Test cricket, it's not dying. Really, it's still there. It's relevant, and it will be relevant for a long time. It's the same thing with Kaiso. You know how many times they've said Calypso dying, Calypso dying, Calypso. It's dying. You know, a Trinidadian sang a song like that maybe 2 years ago. When she have to depart the earth, she want to die like Kaiso, because Kaiso is always dying, but it's not dead. So she want to die like that. Always people go say, you're dying, but you can't die. Calypso would not die. Okay. I can assure you that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I don't know what I can add to that again, Scholar. I just said, when we met a number of time ago, and she said, they used to do Calypso and reminded me and said that she generally didn't have a very pleasant experience in the industry. But she said, I remember that one incident, one time in Grenada when I sang with Scholar, and he treated me so nicely, with such respect. He had so much encouraging things to say to me as a young person getting into the business. And of course, I had to use it to my advantage. I just said, well, that's us Chantemel guys, we're the best. But I always joke on the show, Scholar. We don't do it that much, but when we introduce ourselves, I always say, I'm Delbert Baptiste from Grenada's cultural capital, and Chantemel. And Chantemel really, it's more than a place, it is an experience. Growing up in Chantemel, you really had an opportunity to be anything that you wanted to be. There wasn't a time, certainly in my era, when I was growing up, there wasn't, at any given time, you had about 5 or 6 really key spots in the village where serious conversations were happening, you know? So whether it was about culture, politics, business, religion, you find your spot and you're going to find somebody there who is knowledgeable and ready to impact, you know. A friend of mine who from St. George's, who used to come up and spend some time in the country with me, he used to always tell me, you know, when he wants to come up, he say, you know, I'm coming up to the University of Chantemelle. He said, because I have never been to a village where you guys are that robust and have so many diverse things happening. And of course, he came to Chantemelle in that era. And I speak about that scholar all the time, right? Because we did not see that so-called bad version of Chantemelle. We came of an era, and I credit our mothers, especially the women of Chantemelle. My mother's generation, your mother's generation, people like Miss Winnie, Miss Pope, Miss Sylvia, that whole generation of women, Miss Ida, Miss Willie, who decided that they wanted something better and different for their children. Miss Doris, of course. And it was not a group. I don't know. I mean, they all talked. They didn't form no group. They mostly met when they went to church, but decided that they wanted better for their children. And it was them more than anything else that changed Chantemelle. We were just the beneficiaries of it.
Well, I often say even too, also, because I agree with you. I just say Chantemelle is a way of living.
It is.
That's what Chantemelle is. Chantemelle is not just a place that you go to, but it's a way of life. Yes. And when you're from Chantemelle, you're from Chantemelle. And when you speak of all of these things, I mean nostalgia. But I also would think that even the bad side, you know, you always have this thing, Chantemelle, Boo, and Bajan. These are things that they use to describe us. But even then, it showed a level of community spirit, you know.
Of course.
Because you can't, if you hit, in other words, if you touch anybody from Chantemelle, you touch the whole of Chantemelle.
Yes.
And the whole of Chantemelle will fight you.
Yes.
That was how we were. It was a community, you know, and even in the bad side, you saw that Chantemelle, you know, I mean, we carried, and you know for a fact, we carried, and up to this day, still carry Chantemelle with pride.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
It's the proudest thing to say from Chantemelle.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I say that all the time.
You know, funny thing is that, and I'll end this bit by just saying that, put it in that. Funny thing is that I have moved and have been living in Grenville for quite a spell now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I win Krong or whatever, you know, people expect me to say that I'm from Grenville. I mean, I am always from Chantemelle.
Yes, you can't get that out of the DNA. That's embedded.
I'm from Chantemelle. You living in New York or wherever you live in, but your neighbor shouldn't be in Chantemelle.
Of course. So, man, it's real great to see you. I know what you have done for Calypso, for the craft, you know, and I'm encouraged with what you said, with what you're doing, and certainly that initiative out of SAS with your wife. Any way that we can help to promote this, because I think I knew that back then, but certainly now, as I have a sort of greater understanding of the world that we live in and what's important to us as a people, and in particular, as somebody who is a sort of a public policy junkie, the role that culture can play in the development of a country, because it's you know. So how is it important for us to do that? And it ties into back some of the things that we want to do, right? Because we're a tourist destination. And unless and until our culture becomes an integral part of our tourist product, we're not going to realize the full benefits that we can. Because as somebody who has traveled extensively, when I go to a different locale, I go to a different country or different part of the US or wherever else, I want to experience how people where I'm going are living. I want to eat their food. I want to understand them. And there's a new sort of more adventurous international travelers now out who wants to do that. They want to live in the villages. You don't want to do. Yes. And I think you know, for all that it has been for us, you know, Chantemelle in itself should be a destination spot for Grenada. We have done a lot, right? We have so many people from that village who has risen to the very top in many walks of life in Grenada. We produce some of the best police. Think about it when you think about the history of Chantemelle and our anti-police mantra back in these days, and today Chantemelle produces some of the best police officers, you know, in Grenada. So I love that place, and thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for coming on this morning, and I wish you continued success in everything that you do, my brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and let me say, especially to Louise, that because I was fortunate, you know, what you see as the finished product, I was very fortunate in that I had right a stone's throw from where I lived and grew up, a gentleman who I always tend to credit as being the trailblazer, a fella by the name of Preen Mantis. I'm sure
yes.
Yeah. So I grew up with Preen Mantis right there. So I was able, plus that my father, as Delbert said, was a Shantwell of the Shotney, and you know, when you look and you trace Calypso, it came from there. Shantwell. So I got to figure out after a time that what my father used to write was actually Calypsos. Sing it as Shotney songs. So I grew up with this. I grew up on the block, and Delbert spoke of the spots in Chantemelle. This was a very important part of my education. I mean, I took formal education at McDonald College, but I always credit my informal education for what mostly I am today. And I grew up with teachers the like of a fella called Harrington Jeremiah.
The man himself.
The man himself. He never took big schooling. He must be dropped out from school in Standard 3. But no one knew of current affairs. No one read as extensively as he.
Absolutely. Exactly. I remember the first time I heard somebody actually discuss the difference between China and Russia. And then I'm interested in them stuff. And I heard Harrington whole quote explaining the history of China and its long contribution to civilization, and why the Russian system is going to, and that was 1974, maybe, you know.
19 little drop. That's what I'm telling you.
And he predicted that China will rise, okay, and that the Russian system would collapse. That was 1974.
That was big. So I was fortunate. I was fortunate to have grown and be looked over and presided over by these people, and this I know is what has made me who I am, and I would like to give back, you know, in any way that I can.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So on the behalf of Gemfm, Delbert, Tex, John, and myself, Louise of Event to Be Wellness, we thank you for your time, and we wish you continued success in all your endeavors. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, John. Thank you to Delbert. Tex, I hope I was not texting while I was speaking, you know. I always looking down, not because you text. You have to be texting, but thank you very much for having me, you know, and anytime you can call again, and I'll be happy to speak on culture or anything that you want me to
Yes. Thank you.
Right. I have some questions for you for next time. Only
all right. No problem.
Eat the elephant one bite at a time. So next time.
All right. I agree.
For you.
All right.
You blame Granville and not come visit when I come to Grenada.
Okay.
Down from you.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Peace.
Part of your stupidity, she ain't deserve to be loved.
Yes. That's a great song. One of my favorites. Love this song.
Excellent, man. I love it.
I love it.
And when I tell God to start making
Sweet eye for you.
some man ending up with you. Remember, some man ending up, some man ending up, some man ending up with you, girl. We want you, some man ending up, some man.
We got 10 minutes to go before I end the show. 10 minutes, and we're just gonna play some scholar song to end the night, the evening, all right?
Countries we
10 minutes.
should go anywhere.
At 1 o'clock coming up, right here on Gemfm, a special guest, Pastor Daphne. One of our upcoming politicians in the city of Toronto.
So imagine a man devoted to his gang, leave a woman behind with one thing on his mind. Any man trespass, the cemetery taking the ras. While you're telling me some man ending up with your girl.
Treat your girl right. Treat your girl right.
Vaseline, some man ending up with your girl.
When you're concentrating, when you're getting Vaseline, some man with your girlfriend.
Next man gay.
God.
Ending up with your girl. Compose a better song with this one.
You coming up, some man ending up with your girl.
Fellas, take care of your girls. Take care of your girl.
You dating, some man ending up with your girl.
I should be upset, Jimmy.
Some man ending up, some man ending up, some man ending up with your girl. Some man ending up, some man ending up, some man ending up with your girl.
Okay, there's another good one. Yes, come with it. DJ.
A man like me and this year go take a chill. But I ain't afraid powder when I play in mass. This year when I singing me song of pepper in there. They had it belly, really. They had it belly. They had it belly. They had it belly. They really had it belly. I find they had it belly. Was Broco, Big Breeze and one monkey man, and none of them ever get on with the Calypsonian. So when Carnival come, is we ruling the show, and if they cannot take the jam, then all the so and so. The belly, they had the belly. We didn't say they had the belly. They just jump in. They had the belly. I find they had the belly. I find they had the belly. When they do the wrong things, the country pay the price. But they want me to use me tongue and sing. But tell them to help the country out, and to stop me they have to put a handcuff on me mouth. They had a belly. They had a belly. They have freedom. This is the freedom. Everybody now put your hands up there. Everybody now put your hands up there. Put your hands up there. Put your hands up in the air. It's time to let it go. Let your bacchanal show. This prison of the mind, time to leave it behind. Leave it behind. Cause this thing called carnival, no restriction at all. True liberty, 2 days when we truly man turn and move. It's clear to see that he who. They running them out and she. They say how she run dirty. Look at how she have the man. They come to the conclusion she well holy. It took candle and a crack. She well holy. And not fun the wink I back. She well holy. In me foot she put her there. She well holy. And very underwear. But it's the dimple in she cheek. And it's best between she teeth. But us put the when she holding it's the way she
yo shiny, no simply saying, big up DJ Soconic, take him so far.
The blackness from she and the way she but doesn't make she groovy. When she will man just follow make it she will stupid. Oh, 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 hey, 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 hey. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 hey, 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 hey. Oh, 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 oh. They say he was a husband, he had a lot of woman. Ever since he got up, all the husband business stop. Nowadays he don't like much, always stick up in she scratch. Anywhere she go he there. So naturally people say she well holy. She go by a Baptist man, she well holy. And is you tying down, she well holy. They see when she sweat the rice, she well holy. He eat and he say he nice, but it's the fullness of she lives and the badness of she eats. That is what he can't resist. Where she hold him all what? Anytime he watch she chest and he hold it when she press, he can't help but be impressed. Where she hold him all what? Is the way she could perform. What she does do with she tongue, but does really turn him on. Where she hold him all, she well hold him. She well hold him. Shut up, you better shut up. Oh, need your pass, need your pass, you better shut up. They say nowadays in carnival every other song. That really what I'm down with the mass and the gas stars. But where is the people who cannot stand this lovely and unique cultural expression? They don't see show picnics happening every day, and the people pretend nothing to say. Look, we hospital in a mess, not some that they under stress. Standard, all of them good standard. Because of living in this land, I don't have a no prosperation. Standard, all of them good standard. If the people that we vote for are put up there, if they making promise and break them every day, if they contract walk away, they have nothing to say, they're looking away like everything is okay. Look away, look away, look away when the job pass, like you do with politicians. Look away as you are customer. Look away, look away, look away when the job pass, when they lie you don't give a damn. Look away as you are customer. Mister, take job in you, take job in you, you stop complaining, stay there and take job in you, take job in you, take job in you, stop complaining, stay there and take job in you. Oh, when the job pass, oh, when the job pass, you better shut up, you better shut up. Oh, when the job pass, oh, when the job pass, you better shut up. They say every single radio station that you touch, he's only one thing them DJ push in and make us dance. But where is the people who say this? Let us stand when we lead us to stupidness. Who name is stadium and Takira, he don't say no. But I see we nation. They are projecting granite and what they could standard. All of them could standard. People say they want to know more. They say they never said nothing so but they could standard. All of them could standard. They don't mind if we leaders behaving like they government, yes. They don't mind if they sell out come on as it is there. They don't mind. Every carry spirit must be dead in tears. Just to see how they come, they defend the dumb, but jab jab they are strength on. Look away, look away, look away when they jab jab pass, like you do with politician. Look away as you across them. Look away, look away, look away when they jab jab pass. You don't care when they doing wrong.
Again, a pleasant good afternoon and pleasant welcome to Greater Carriacou and Philip Martinique and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. This is Gemfm. We come to the end of this show. We're thankful to have Carl here with us from the cultural capital, now residing in the parish of St. Andrews, big parish, Rainbow City. Yes, and again, thank you very much, Louise, for making that connection that I was so much to make. We made a lot of years ago.
That's okay. That's what teamwork is about.
Remind about the resource we had together in the house.
It's all about teamwork.
Yes, yes.
And I had a connection, a Caribbean connection, a village connection to ensuring that, because I say, hey, this is what I would like to have. And I said, can you do that? You know, you guys are from the same village, you know, not knowing it was next door. And indeed, you know, it was great. So
it was a good one. It's a good one. And you know, a lot of times that's what Caribbean Connection is about. And I want to expand this reach to Jamaica and all other parts of the Caribbean.
Don't worry, I have that in the works.
About that. So I have come connection with some people. So a lot of things will be happening here in Gemfm on Saturday morning. And again, as we celebrate 43 years of revolution, Grenada Revolution, 1979, 1983, of the most impactful moment in Grenada, whether you like it or not. Yes, you have changed the way we think and function as a people. It have changed the demographic. Everything have changed, but it's sad that we haven't ended with it ended. But I want to ensure us that we have made significant strides, and the Grenadian people are today still yearning for it. They're asking for it, and nobody can deliver it. Yes, but the architects of the entire scheme is not here. But nevertheless, Grenada is Grenada, and we're gonna keep moving forward ever, backward never. We just have to keep on keeping on. It's the people that make changes, not the politicians, but we have to put them into lead. All right. But have a blessed afternoon, everybody. Lydia, good afternoon to you. Yes, Lady
Liz.
Yeah, we were in the same class together, Bell, but we were in the school together over here. Yeah, he's my classmate. Put it over here. Just drop it right there. Well, it's a great pleasant surprise there, but thank you very much. But next time we'll talk to Jean Louis. We got to need it to be cross for that. Well, Delbert, see you back tonight. Pastor Daphne and Lincoln Deputy and Margaret Francis will be back tonight.
I asked him many times to appear to come on the show and say, no. All of a sudden I said Scarlett is going to be on, and she said, okay, I'm going to come on.
I haven't hear that too. So that too will be
something I didn't say, because Scarlett comes from this really great family. I remember his sister. He has a sister, I think she's one of the senior pharmacists in Grenada now, who was so bright in school. It didn't matter. If you scored 100, she was going to get 110 on that test. It didn't matter. She was, in those days, it was kind of unusual because always, parents focus on the boys to make sure they're well educated. And she was a star. I just remember, and what was really wonderful about her is that she was not afraid to help you out if you're struggling with a particular subject, because she just excelled at anything, and that's how they were raised. That's how they all grew up. He has another brother who is a teacher, and excellent family. One of Chantemel's proudest family.
St. Patrick's.
Yes, St. Patrick's in the house. All right, guys. So, John, I'll see you tonight, man.
Right, and Margaret Francis, don't forget, and Lincoln Deputy, Pastor Daphne, we're going to continue our conversation from last week. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still definitely looking forward to it, and I know it will be a great one. So please be here tonight, guys. It's at 8 o'clock. One love.
Right.
Yeah. Blessings. Okay. Goodbye.
Right, bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple truth, everybody knows. Oh, what do you want an ounce of exile? I want to talk. Watching you now on your last one.
Party, a Caribbean party, the entire region together in one big splashdown fiesta.
A Caribbean connection, a regional vibration.
I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel band. This jam go be Irie. It's one love, so feel free, for we are the people of the Caribbean, showing that we don't want no basin plan.
A Caribbean connection, a regional vibration.
I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel